What's up, guys? It's 8-Bit Eric. Welcome back to the channel. We're going to talk about more Dragon Age the Veilguard because this is just the game that keeps on giving. Apparently, a longtime BioWare writer has left the company following the flop of Dragon Age the Veilguard. They are no longer with the company, Robert. Can we help you with something? And this came out quite a bit ago, but just like all the other YouTubers talking about it today, it was a slow news Sunday, so we're going to catch up on this. So apparently, Sylvia, and pardon me for butchering your name, Feketekuty, say that 5 times fast, who is a senior writer, announced that she left BioWare after being with the company for 15 fucking years. 15 years. Holy guacamole, that is huge. Now, we all know Veilguard absolutely bombed. It didn't do as much as BioWare had hoped. In fact, they're no longer supporting the game. There's not going to be any expansions, no DLC updates. They're just moving on to go do Mass Effect. They put all their eggs in this Veilguard basket, and instead of that, they focused on top surgery scars. They focused on doing misgendering cutscenes where you have to take a barf and just all this other woke ideology. Instead of just making a good game that we could enjoy, they went the woke route. And I don't care how much you try to cope, saying, oh, all these chuds wanted it to fail so bad. It fucking failed. All right? Get over it. So going on, it says, Feketekuty, whose first credits at BioWare were on Mass Effect 2 back in 2010, announced on Blue Sky that she was leaving the company. And they wrote this Blue Sky, what do they call them over there? Bloobs? Tweets? Bleats? It says, hey everyone, sorry I've been quiet on here. Was busy with a big decision, namely deciding to leave BioWare. I really miss working with everyone there, but after 15 years, it just feels like a good time for a break. If and when I got something noteworthy lined up, I'll mention it here. I'll go back to answering your questions/comments. Thank you for them before shutting the account down. It'll still just be slow because I've left BioWare. There's likely a few things I can't answer now just because I can't look them up with certainty anymore, but a lot of questions I saw are fine. So, very interesting. Now, I'm not on Blue Sky, so I don't have any of these questions that she's answering here. I can't look at it. But very interesting that somebody with some kind of, I guess, form of seniority is leaving the company, especially after a flop. That makes you think that there's going to be more layoffs or more people resigning. This game didn't do well. This was literally one of their banger hits that they were worried about, and it flopped, guys, immensely. We've been covering it. So here we go. A little bit of a recap here. Also, shout outs to John F. Trent for this article on Fandom Pulse that we're looking at. It says, as noted above, Feketekuty, I love that last name, Feketekuty, had been with BioWare since 2010, and she worked on Mass Effect 2 and 3 before joining the Dragon Age team and working on Dragon Age Inquisition. She then moved over to Anthem before returning to Dragon Age for Veilguard. It is unclear why Feketekuty decided to leave the company after 15 years, but the move does come in the wake of numerous indicators that the game was a financial failure. And yeah, that's putting it light. That is putting it light. So the game had only hit a peak concurrent player count of 89,418, not even 100,000 players. And when you look at some of the bigger games out there that hit like several thousands, like 500,000 plus, even close to like whatever, closer towards like the higher end of 800,000, stuff like that. 89,000 for a game of a franchise this big is unacceptable. Unacceptable. And they haven't even recovered. You can see the peak number has declined to 8,775. I'm sorry, I was going to say 8,775. In the past 24 hours, which is less than 2 months after launch. That's a 90.1% decline. So 2 months. Now, I've already seen the cope. A lot of these Wokies are saying, well, it's a single-player game. Of course, the player base is going to be gone after 2 months. Everybody that's played the game is already moved on. Yeah. Okay, while you might have a fair little point there, you got to look at how quickly this has gone down. All right? Look from down here in the chart. When the game first came out, that immense dip. And then a week later, and a week later, it hasn't recovered. This is obviously, this huge first dip is from when people played the game and said, fuck this, I'm not coming back to it. They still haven't even announced their full sales numbers, all right? They haven't even bragged about how much they've sold. This game is not going to make its money back at this point, guys. I honestly think a lot of people just gave up on it. And even the developers, which is why they're not going to have DLC or expansions for it at all. This article continues to say, on top of the peak player counts being low, as well as the game seeing massive fall off in less than 2 months, Veilguard's game director also refused to answer a question about the game's sales. So this was Corinne Busche, and they actually talked about this the other day. I covered this article where they basically all kind of like damage control it and blamed it on, hate speech and a hate campaign as to why Veilguard failed, right? It's always the gamer's fault. It's never that the game was terrible. It says the game director, who's a man that pretends to be a woman and uses the name Corinne Busche, was asked by Eurogamer, how has the commercial response to the game been? I've been seeing stories about sales and they seem mixed, inconclusive. The game seems to be doing okay, but struggling to keep pace with Inquisition before it. Has it been a success from your point of view? How do you measure that? Now, here's the answer, right? Unfortunately, on the sales side, that's not something we could really discuss. But, of course, as we know with Inquisition, that was a long burn to get to those total sales numbers. That sounds like cope to me. Inquisition did miles and miles better than what Veilguard has done, guys. So, yeah, honestly, a big, long-tenured person leaving the company like this is a terrible look for the company. And I don't think BioWare's learned its lesson. I think what we're going to see out of BioWare going forward, Mass Effect, is the same mistakes. And I think that has a lot of fans upset and worried about it, because Mass Effect is another beast, right? Dragon Age was one thing with BioWare. Mass Effect is another beast. And that fan base really cares about the source material. That fan base really cares about the lore. And we're getting people that are brand new coming into BioWare that didn't work on the original banger hits, like the 2 and 3. And they're going to be trying to inject their woke ideologies, their woke narratives. They're going to try to change characters, just like what happened with Veilguard. I mean, the switch between Inquisition and Veilguard was 180% like a complete flop, like a flip, right? My God, how did they screw up such a fucking franchise? And I think they're going to do the same thing with Mass Effect. So if you're thinking that it's going to be good, if you're thinking that there's going to be a hope for it, don't hold your breath, guys. Do not hold your breath, because once you get this hive mind, once you're infected, once you have all these people that are just literally retarded and don't know how to write or make great video games, and they're more focused on DEI and agendas, it's going to be hopeless for them. They're going to be completely screwed, and it's going to flop just like this. I mean, to the point where they haven't even announced the sales numbers. They're not supporting updates, no expansions, no DLC. Writers are leaving the company. I think we're seeing the writing on the wall here with BioWare, guys. What do you think? Let me know down below in the comment section. And if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, why the fuck not? We're almost at 94,000. Quit being a bitch. Hit that red button to subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.